Plateau State government relaxes curfew.
We just heard the explosion, so we don't know the source of it. It will vibrate before it explode.
Pipeline explosion. Community expresses fear over fire outbreak. National Assembly set to reconvene Tuesday. Plus, fresh trouble in Nigeria's football house. Hello, a warm welcome to NTA Network News. I am Sheung Olagunju. Reading with me tonight is Michael Olaleye in Lagos and Sadia Omar Digi is in Sokoto. Thank you very much for joining us. The Plateau State government has approved the relaxation of the curfew imposed on Jos South, Riom and Barkinladi local government areas from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Secretary to the state government, Rufus Bature, in a statement in Jos says that this follows relative peace and calm gradually returning to the affected areas. Ndeyaba Jiang reports.
Just before the review was announced, residents and business owners in the affected areas had been complaining of the impact of the curfew on their businesses.
We reduced the rate of our cooking so that when the time reaches, at least our food has finished by that time.
It affects my business because of the coffee. So I'm losing my customer and I'm losing my market too.
Meanwhile, 11 persons have been paraded by the Operation Safe Haven in connection with the recent attacks in some villages in Plateau State. The media officer, Operation Safe Haven, Major Adam Umar, said the 11 persons were found in possession of locally fabricated weapons and AK-47 rifle.
The arrest of suspects and investigation normally lead us to arrest more of the perpetrators. And
the suspects have been handed over to the appropriate authorities for further investigation. In Jos, Indenyan and the Abuja, NTA News.
And as the wounds of insurgency are gradually healing, it has become imperative for every patriotic Nigerian to embrace peace in a renewed effort to end incessant herders-farmers clashes and their attendant loss of lives and property. President of the Alumni Association of the National Institute, Khalid Bolaji, disclosed this at a media briefing in Abuja. Olajide Bello has details.
As far as we are concerned, the Nigerian securities are up to the task.
Reacting to the recent attacks leading to loss of lives and destruction of property at Barkinladi, Riom and Jos South local government areas of Plateau State, ANI President called for redoubled efforts by the federal government to restore peace, while Nigerians should employ legitimate means in seeking redress.
The attack came at a time the security operatives are doing their best towards stemming the endless violence in the hands of disgruntled elements. The killings are unacceptable. We are shocked that such magnitude of attack took place in Plateau after enjoying years of respite and peace from a criminal's past.
But the point now is that I believe that the president is on top of the situation. I want to believe that very soon he will do something to meet the expectation of Nigerians.
The ripple effect of the farmers and herders crisis, ANI says, does not only pose security threats, but also food insecurity.
90%, 99% of our livestock now imported to Nigeria. Farmers already, with Nigeria is already food insecure, we're just trying to build food security in rice. If those farmers cannot produce for whatever reason, we're in problem. So the crisis is not just herdsmen, catchmen, it's food crisis.
President Muhammadu Buhari was commended for keeping Nigeria together as one, despite security challenges in some parts of the country. In Abuja, Olajide Bello, NTA News.
To another disaster, this time fire. Residents of Abuja, Ilara community in Ogijo area of Ogun State now live in fear following a fire outbreak from the NNPC pipeline which exploded at about 10 p.m. Sunday, causing panic in the area. Joel Popola reports that the incident thankfully did not claim any life.
The thick smoke emanating from the scene of the explosion was visible from afar as security operatives cordoned off the area to prevent a breakdown of law and order. Residents said the explosion occurred at about 10 p.m. on Monday night. According to them, they suddenly felt a vibration in their homes before the explosion. Security operatives who spoke to NTA News off camera said the incident could have been triggered by nefarious activities of oil bunkers who must have tampered with the oil facility. The fire, which destroyed 1.5 kilometer stretch along the swampy area where the oil facility is located, was still raging as at the time of filing this report, as firefighters from the Nigerian Gas Company, a subsidiary of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, struggled to put out the fire. For the residents, the incident has caused anxiety as they live in palpable fear.
We just heard the explosion, so we don't know the source of it. It will vibrate before it explodes.
No one can give the full details of how it happens, because when it is night, all these places always getting dark.
Officials of Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation and their subsidiary present at the scene declined comments on the incident. Effort by the firefighters has not yielded much result as they called for reinforcements. As the fire continues to rage, residents of the affected area are living in anxiety. From Ogijo, Joel Bukbola, NTA News.
Now, the Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, has reaffirmed commitment towards generating reliable and credible database on road traffic administration and safety management in Nigeria. The Corps Marshal of the FRSC, Boboye Oyeyemi, gave this commitment in a paper presentation at the Africa Transport Policy Program in Abuja. Oyeyemi Ajayi has the details.
Giving a data analysis by the World Health Organization on road traffic fatality rates per 100,000 population, Boboye Oyeyemi revealed that 26.6% of the total fatalities and 24.1% of the road traffic crashes occur in the African region. The Corps Marshal said the relevance and need for data collation followed a resolution reached at the United Nations in 2010, where the Decade of Action for Road Safety 2011-2020 was launched. The aim is to stabilize and reduce global accident fatality trends by 2020 through safer road use, safer vehicles, safer mobility, post-accident management, and general road safety, which is dependent on accurate data.
It's not easy to bring 52 African countries together at all times, but it's easy to bring the regional leaders. So with this, because they share some cultural values, some levels which is shared together.
Already, the FRC maintains the National Road Traffic Crash Information System, which is one among its several road traffic data systems, harmonized by over 400 data information officers, who are constantly in touch with patrol teams and community first responders to collect data. Closing its submission, the FRC Corps Marshal called for the synergy among member states towards reducing road crashes across the continent. In Abuja, Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
In infrastructure, with an unprecedented investment of 2.7 trillion naira in critical areas of water, power, rail and road networks, Nigerians can expect a rapid transformation of the country's economic and infrastructural landscape. Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, and other guests stated this while appearing on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria. Dennis Adigunloye brings us highlights of the guests' submissions.
Starting a few months ago, inspection of key infrastructural projects being executed by the federal government were carried out by the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed. These include the Lagos-Ibadan Standard Gauge Rail Network, as well as projects in various sectors including roads, water, power, housing and bridges.
What really excited me in Papalanto is the fact that at the time we got to Papalanto, about 1.7 kilometers of the standard gauge road had been completed. But the good story is that when we went to inspect this project in May, we started with the Shagamu Ibadan-Shagamu end axis. And we have been informed, we saw ourselves that 58% of the contract has been completed. This is due largely to the funding that was provided by the government.
I think railway is extremely very, very critical. The railway discounts space in terms of costs. Is the best way to move capital and labor. And if you talk of textile, the whole miracle of textile development in the 60s, 70s was the role of the railway. So I'm quite excited that we're reinventing railway, and it's highly commendable, and I hope we get it through.
Power generation, the minister says, has improved from the figure of 2.690 megawatts to the present 7,000 megawatts being enjoyed by Nigerians.
It's also done what we call the transmission expansion and the rehabilitation, which has improved our grid.
Water projects are also in full swing. The Abuja light rail system, Lai Mohammed says, will be operational before the end of the year, while the second Niger bridge, which has been funded by the federal government with billions of naira, will transform the socio-economic landscape of the South-South and Southeast. Dennis Adegunloye, NTA News.
Now, Minister of State for Industry, Trade and Investment, Aisha Abubakar, says no part of the country will suffer neglect in the distribution of resources. She made the declaration at the inauguration of erosion and flood control works in Bauchi. Mahmoud Ibn Muhammad reports.
Executed at the Bauchi State College of Nursing, the erosion and flood control works was carried out under the Ecological Fund Office in the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. The project, which is part of the 26 interventions for the second quarter of 2017, is expected to prevent flooding and erosion in the benefiting communities.
The vision of this project has further demonstrated Mr. President's commitment to addressing problems confronting various communities across the country. The successful execution of this project has finally put paid to the fears of the perennial flooding and its threat to the surrounding community.
On his part, the state governor, Muhammad Abubakar, who applauded the federal government for choosing Bauchi State as one of the benefiting states, challenged people of the state to imbibe environmental-friendly culture.
Happy to note that Mr. President is further responding to our demands and considering the plight of our people, particularly the plight of Matlufa community in Zaki local government area of Bauchi State, whose lives are hanging on the valley as a result of flood and erosion.
The minister, in company of the Permanent Secretary, Ecological Fund Office, Habib Alawal, had earlier paid a courtesy visit on Governor Muhammad Abubakar at the government house. In Bauchi, Mahmoud Ibn Muhammad, NTA News.
In labour matters, the Nigeria Labour Congress has backed the decision of the federal government to ban states from bank loans due to the huge debt burden on some of them, leading to non-payment of salaries. The Congress expressed the support at a public lecture to mark the 70th birthday of the NLC General Secretary, Dr. Peter Ozoesong. Emmanuel Ayimiro reports.
It is established that heavily indebted states do not have enough financial capacity for development, and that has led to bailouts from federal government, yet there seems to be little improvement. The NLC used the birthday anniversary lecture of its General Secretary, Dr. Peter Ozoesong, with the theme, rethinking the role of the state in Africa's development, to uphold federal government's latest decision to control loans to states. Speakers also suggest way forward for Africa's development, which includes appropriate policies and leadership.
I urge government to do everything possible. Nigeria will not sympathize with anybody that have borrowed such money, 5.8 trillion, and they are still living in their comfort zone. They should be arrested. Those money should be recovered. It's our commonwealth.
Africa is the continent of the future. We have very great potential. And to achieve that, it looks that we must improve on our Human Development Index.
Dr. Peter Ozoesong was a national officer of ASU in the 80s until he joined the NLC 15 years ago.
The NLC is also an intellectual organization. To this end, it has been the tradition of the NLC to scout for ideologically committed intellectuals. We found one in Dr. Peter Osweson.
Dr. Peter Osweson was chief economist of the NLC. Emmanuel Ayemiro, NTA News.
The Secretary of the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, has stressed the need to put in place corresponding framework for effective implementation of policies towards achieving growth and development at all levels of government. He stated this at the second quarter 2018 forum of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation with secretaries to the state governments in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. Marian Vincent Oko reports.
This is a gathering of secretaries to state governments from the 36 states of the country and the FCT. Described as the engine room of government, the SSGs are in Uyo to deliberate on national issues for the purpose of ensuring effectiveness and accuracy in implementation of government policies. Secretary to the Government of the Federation, at whose instance the forum is being held, said the outcome of their meeting, which centers on achieving the Sustainable Development Goals and primary healthcare program, will be closely monitored to ensure effective implementation.
When I assumed office in November, I realized that there was a disconnect in the implementation of government policies. Policies cannot get themselves implemented. There must be particular drivers within the system that will push those policies.
Government exists to provide services to the people across national and subnational levels. Failure to abide by these needs and demand means a great abdication of a cardinal responsibility.
The Secretary to Akwa Ibom State Government, Emmanuel Ekuwem, and other participants said the conference will further enhance understanding of policies of government at the center and how states can key in. The theme of the forum is improving access to social services at national and subnational levels. In Uyo, Marian Vincent Oko, NTA News.
Time now to pause for some messages. The news will continue after this time out. Stay with us.
Are you sure you want to do this?
Adam, go and bring us your husband. Okay, hello baby. We're in this together, okay? Can you hear me? Keep coming forward. Wait, stop. You okay, lean to your right. Keep walking down, keep walking to the left. Yes. You're almost here. Keep going. You are here. Wow, you did it.
I'm just so glad I didn't have to use my cane to do this.
And I am so glad no other man got you before me. Let me be your eyes.
We will never stop working to give you a network you can rely on, so you can enjoy life's special moments. MTN, everywhere you go.
Southeast for Buhari SEB invites the public to the official launch and mega rally of Southeast for Buhari. Date: Tuesday, July 3rd, 2018. Venue: Dan Ayam Stadium, Owerri, Imo State. Time: 10 a.m. Chief Guest of Honor: His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, President, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Special Guest of Honor: His Excellency Professor Yemi Osinbajo, GCON, Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria. Chief Host: His Excellency Owele Rochas Okorocha, Imo State Governor. National Coordinator, Southeast for Buhari. A new thinking, a new bridge. Ije Akonuche.
APC change! APC change! APC progress!
Prince Igwe Ude Umanta for Director Publicity, Southeast for Buhari. Announcer.
Standards Organization of Nigeria, SON, brings a new lease of life to Nigerian SMEs. SON has put a greater premium on developing standards aimed at improving the exports of the nation's food and cash crops. This explains why we have developed more standards for Nigeria's produce like sesame, cocoa, curry, and more, courtesy our accredited state-of-the-art laboratories. In keeping with the federal government's ease of doing business, SON SON has simplified its processes and turnaround time for SUNCAP and MANCAP to reduce substandard products and legal arm to prosecute offenders. Join the Standards Organization of Nigeria in ridding our nation of substandard goods due to consistent market surveillance and raids. See something, say something. The Standards Organization of Nigeria, improving life through standards.
The federal government of Nigeria, through the Federal Ministry of Health and the National Agency for the Control of AIDS, NACA, will be conducting a comprehensive national survey known as the Nigerian HIV Indicator and Impact Survey, NICE, to reliably estimate the current status and spread of HIV and hepatitis B and C across the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT. NICE will help to plan and develop more effective programs to control HIV and hepatitis, as well as reduce their spread in our communities, leading to healthier individuals and families. NICE will be implemented through close collaboration with state governments and agencies by conducting interviews and blood tests on qualified participants in randomly selected households across Nigeria. NICE is free, voluntary and confidential. NICE has commenced and will last for a period of about 6 months. This announcement is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Health and the National Agency for the Control of AIDS, NACA.
Do you know that the Nigerian police now operates in the best international practices of policing? Do you know that the Nigerian police has been restructured to be more accountable and responsive to all your security challenges? Now, what the police demand from you is your trust, your collaborative efforts by providing necessary information about criminals and their activities in your neighborhood. Be vigilant to achieve our creed as we promise. We shall police the country based on international core values of policing with integrity. We shall ensure that rule of law prevails in our actions and activities. We shall respect diversity, display courage, show compassion, and demonstrate professionalism. We shall operate within the principle of democratic policing. We shall shun corruption, and we shall make Nigeria safer and secured under the leadership of IGP Ibrahim Otum Idris.
Let the wind of change blowing across the country chase away crime for the benefit of our society. Yes, the Nigerian police says this change must come with peace and tranquility.
This message was brought to you by the Public Relations Department of the Nigerian Police Force.
Thanks for staying with us on the Network News, and we begin the segment from the legislature. The Senate says legislative intervention in strengthening national security, especially protection of lives and property, will continue to engage the legislators as they resume Tuesday. The chairman, House Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Aliu Sabi Abdullahi, made this known in an exclusive interview with our National Assembly correspondent, Ignatius Nkwo.
Members of the National Assembly have been on 3 weeks break for the Salah celebration. They are adjourned to reconvene on the 3rd of this month. While they were on break, there were some security challenges, and that necessitated the meeting between the Senate President Bukola Saraki and Speaker of the House of Representatives Yakubu Dogara with President Muhammadu Buhari. The spokesperson for the Senate, Aliu Sabi Abdullahi, says the senators are set to reconvene and will continue with the issue of national security.
When we resume, we'll begin to look at more concrete actions based on whatever discussion our principal officers have had with Mr. President.
We had been talking about the security situation in different parts of the country. We will work as an institution with Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari, give him every support that he needs and requires to tackle this very serious, debilitating situation.
The Senate also says it will immediately put measures in place that will ensure effective implementation of the 2018 budget and accelerate passage of bills pending before it.
What are those areas that Mr. President has concerns, and what do we need to do to address those concerns so that the budget is implemented fully and completely?
Petroleum industry bill had taken place before we went on break. So bearing any last minute chance, of course the committee, when they are able to finalize their work, we'll be expecting that they will lay in the report.
Journalists National Assembly staff and security personnel appear set for resumption of legislative activities. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTN News.
Meanwhile, the federal government's effort to tackle security challenges across the country is expected to dominate plenary as the House of Representatives also resumes sitting Tuesday. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
The Chairman House Committee on Rules and Business, Representative OK Jev, while enumerating issues of concern before members as they resume, said protection of lives and property of citizens will, in addition to regular legislative business, take the front burner at plenary.
We are guided by what we call legislative agenda for the 8th Assembly, and it covers virtually all areas: the economy, the environment, the technology, and all of those areas. So the bills that you have before the House, as at today that we speak, we have 1,434, I believe, bills that have been gazetted and are at various stages of completion.
The security and welfare of the Nigerian citizens will be in the front burner, and it should be the primary purpose of governance, and as such it will that the killings in various parts of the country will also attract the attention of the House, so that the security agencies in the wisdom of the House may be called upon to do something with a view to averting or stopping the killings in various parts of the country.
With the signing of the appropriation bill by President Muhammadu Buhari, the lawmakers would also be engaged in oversight on the implementation of the budget.
We thank God, in spite of all the issues that have come up respecting the budget, the President has signed the budget and government will continue.
In the meantime, National Assembly staff were cited putting together the necessary paperwork in readiness for the resumption of the lawmakers. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Now, former Chief of Staff, Bauchi Government House, Audu Sule Katagum, has been sworn in as the Deputy Governor of the state. This follows the resignation of Nuhu Gidado May this year. Mahmoud Ibn Muhammad reports.
Audu Sule Katagum, now the Deputy Governor of Bauchi State, was screened and confirmed by the State House of Assembly on Friday, June 29, following the resignation of Nuhu Gidado. An architect by profession, Audu Sule Katagum hails from Katagum local government area of Bauchi State. Congratulating him on his new appointment, Governor Muhammad Abubakar challenged him to uphold the rule of law as the number 2 citizen in Bauchi State.
As the second in command in the hierarchy of the decision-making structure, I enjoin you to make the principle of equity, fairness, justice your yardstick, while prudence and accountability should be your watchword.
In Bauchi, Mahmoud Ibn Muhammad, NTA News.
To the judiciary now, heated arguments have continued between the defense and prosecution counsel over adjournment date at the resumed trial of former governor of Niger State, Dr. Muazu Babangida Aliyu, and his former commissioner, Umar Mohammed Nasco, who are standing trial at the Federal High Court sitting in Mina for alleged corrupt practices. Mokhtar Abubakar reports.
The counsel to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Ben Ikani, after presenting the commission's 10th witness, urged the court to adjourn the case to another date for continuation of trial. The decision did not go down well with the counsel to the second accused person, Umar Mohammed Nasco, objecting the application for adjournment, arguing that it violated the provision of Criminal Procedures Act 2015, which provide that trial of that nature should continue on day to day. The defense counsel urged the court not to allow the prosecution dictate the phases of trial, and prayed the court to give a direction that will conform with the spirit of Criminal Procedure Code and Section 36 of the Constitution.
It is on record that for 6 months, the prosecution has brought us here, and for 6 months, these witnesses are not in America, they are not in England, they are in Nigeria, and about 98% of their witnesses are in Niger State.
The EFCC counsel, however, urged the court to discountenance
the objection of the Defense Counsel, arguing that the sections of the Criminal Procedure Act and Constitution cited by the Defense Counsel were misapplied.
I've never seen a court that has gone this fast. In this issue, 3 people are affected. The 2 defendants, the state, the victim of that ecological control that would have been done, but the money was embezzled.
Justice Yelim Bagoro ruled that the prosecution is entitled to seek for adjournment and held that the case was not delayed by the prosecution as appreciable progress was made in the matter. Justice Bagoro then slated the 22nd and 23rd of October 2018 for continuation of hearing. From the Federal High Court, Mina, Mukhtar Abubakar, NTA News.
Still from the courts, a federal high court sitting in Abuja has granted bail to former National Security Advisor Sambo Dasuki, who is in the custody of the Department of State Services since his alleged misappropriation of funds case started. The presiding judge, Justice Ijomo Ojukwu, ruled that the detention of the former NSA since December 29, 2015 amounts to a violation of his right to liberty in the ruling contained in a fundamental rights enforcement suit at the instance of Sambo Dasuki. Justice Ojukwu granted Dasuki bail in the sum of 200 million naira with 2 sureties who must either be civil servants of minimum of grade level 16 in the Federal Civil Service or private citizens who have landed property in the municipal areas of Abuja. The presiding judge ruled that the federal government's contention that Dasuki is being kept in custody on the ground of his alleged threat to national security and his alleged ongoing investigation for money laundering did not warrant the abrogation of his rights. Time now to join Michael in our Lagos Network Center for more reports. Hello, Michael. It's over to you.
Good evening, Sheung, and a warm welcome to Lagos. Operations are soon to commence on the Takwe Warri Standard Gauge tracks, 32 years after it was constructed. Managing Director of the Nigerian Railway Corporation, Engineer Fidet Okiria, disclosed these to newsmen at a media briefing in Lagos. Elizabeth Omori reports.
The present administration has made reviving and upgrading of the nation's rail system a priority. A number of projects in this sector have been fast-tracked, and now the Itakpe Warri line, which has been in limbo, is been reactivated.
2 weeks' time, we will be able to ride a full train, local and the coach, and our coaches from Itakpe to Warri throughout the line. While the station is going on, we will allow the people to benefit from the track, because if you abandon any track not in use, and the grass will grow again, people will go there and vandalize it.
Managing Director of the Nigerian Railway Corporation said that an interim phase agreement has been signed to reactivate the tracks laid about 32 years ago.
We know where it is very critical, where anytime there is rainfall, we cannot go through because of washout. We have identified those areas.
He disclosed that 200 wagons and 10 locomotives are expected to be supplied under the agreement.
These things will make the Nigerian Railway move better, more reliable, and meet up with its responsibility.
The Itakpe to Warri line was originally designed to serve the steel industry, but it has now been converted to passenger operations. In Lagos, Elizabeth Omori, NTA News.
The Standards Organization of Nigeria, SON, has seized containers allegedly loaded with substandard tires in Lagos. The Earth Surveillance, Intelligence and Monitoring Unit, Suleiman Issa, says the tires were relabeled and packaged by some illegal dealers who flood the Nigerian markets with these tires. Abolore Ogbara has details.
The Standards Organization team conducted journalist rounding where
and S&P Dow Jones indices have commenced the branding of indices with the successful transition of Nigeria's foremost sovereign bond index as part of efforts to deepen Nigeria's financial markets. The index, known as FMDQ S&P Nigeria Sovereign Bond Index, will track the performance of local currency-denominated sovereign debt publicly issued by the federal government in the domestic market. Meanwhile, the equities market began the third quarter of 2018 on a negative note. The all-share index depreciated by 0.87% to close at 37,946.92 basis points. Investors showed appetite for the financial services sector, with Sterling Bank, First Bank Holding and Wema Bank on top of the most traded equities. ICO, CI Leasing and Unity Bank closed ahead on the gainers chart, while MRS, Forte Oil and Honeyflower topped the losers table. Market capitalization closed at 13 trillion naira. That's the size of our package. The rest of the bulletin continues in just a moment.
Thank you, Vivian. Still on business, the federal government is targeting 10% of the world's market share in traded liquefied natural gas, LNG, as part of its strategic aspirations to derive maximum value from Nigeria's abundant natural gas resources. The Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, Mikanti Baru, stated this while addressing the 27th World Gas Conference in Washington, D.C.
On the expansion of our existing 22 million tons per annum plant, we are at the verge of taking FID this year for additional 8 million tons per annum train, called Train 7. This project at completion will further increase the global power generation capacity to about 70% of LNG, of which 70% is LNG, to be used for power generation.
That the federal government recently approved 3 reforms in the gas sector, which include domestic gas supply, obligations, gas pricing policy and regulation, as well as gas infrastructure blueprint.
The aspiration for gas is strengthen our footprint in high-value gas export through LNG and aim to secure about 10% of global gas market.
Natural gas has presently transformed the economy of several nations, and Nigeria is seeking to tap into this. Nigeria's aviation sector has continued to witness massive investment by key players in the industry. This development is as a result of the federal government's commitment to secure the sector and make it more attractive to air travelers. Mansour Aliyu Hassan reports that Governor Aminu Bello Masari of Katsina State, alongside his counterpart Badr Abubakar of Jigawa State, commissioned newly acquired aircraft of Max Air at the domestic wing of the Malam Aminu Kano International Airport.
Boeing, of course, is #1 worldwide. These are airplanes that have been tested over time, very reliable, and I can assure you that these airplanes are in tip-top condition, and they are ready to go to give the traveling public a very, very, very memorable experience.
Governor Aminu Bello Masari of Katsina State congratulated Max Air for providing the aircrafts at a time when the country is in dire need of more investment in the aviation sector for the movement of large number of passengers to all parts of the country.
We believe that he will not only promote his business, he will promote the country, he will promote where he comes from. And this is very important. And we as a government, we consider ourselves as partners to Alhaji Dahiru, who has been supportive of government. All the government that came into being in Katsina State and so many states in the northern part of this country, he has contributed immensely.
Jigawa State Governor Muhammad Badr Abubakar says the domestic operation embarked upon by Max Air will provide employment opportunities for many Nigerians.
We know Alhaji Dahiru, the owner, to be a shrewd businessman, was a very good business acumen. So we believe this venture will last forever and will create a lot of jobs for our people and ease our movements. I think it's a very good development.
The inaugural flights are expected to take off from Kano, Lagos, en route Abuja, and then cover the entire country. In Kano, Mansour Aliyu Hassan, NTA News.
Happenings in the world of sports after this time out. Stay with us.
On Tuesday Live this week, power generation and distribution, issues of metering and matters arising is our focus. Experts will examine global best practices and profile solutions. Tuesday Live. promises to be incisive and informative.
Experience, they say, is the best teacher.
They hold us from the sea. Thank God that we came back home. They should not go there because it's not good. It's a very bad place. So they just my advice.
Even now, sir, if they are shooting the boat they are going to use to go Italy, may they stop it. Our country is good. Our country is a blessed country. Now I know our country is a blessed country. I know before I for not travel from Nigeria to Libya. I know how much I spent.
Let these personal experiences serve as a lesson to all who would repeat their mistakes. A word is enough for the wise.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
Sadia in Sokoto will now bring us our next set of reports. Hello, Sadia. Go ahead.
Thank you. Welcome to NTA Sokoto. The need for collaborative efforts among traditional and religious leaders, politicians, and members of pen profession to address the nation's insecurity took center stage at the National Executive Council meeting of the NUJ. The meeting held in Sokoto reviewed the achievements and challenges of the union and the country with a view to addressing them. The report. This is the first time Sokoto State is hosting the NEC meeting of the NUJ with delegates drawn from the 36 states and Abuja. The national president of the NUJ, Comrade Abdulwahid Odusile, called on government to rise and ensure that everyone is secured, while challenging Nigerians to employ dialogue in solving problems instead of violence.
It doesn't help anybody for a traditional ruler to go on and be fanning the embers of disunity because you have disagreement with some other ethnic group. It doesn't make sense for past leaders to go on air or anywhere and be saying things that can set the country on fire.
He also challenged media executives against unprofessional handling of information and be alive to their responsibilities. Governor Aminu Waziri Tambol of Sokoto State called for the review of the nation's security architecture, attributing most of the crisis in some parts of the country to clear absence of intelligence.
The time is now. We have to look at it. Whether we like it or not, there is a seeming justification for state police.
Governor Tambol described the role of the media in national development as critical and urged practitioners to avoid emotions and have the nation's interest at heart. Governor Bakar Atiku Bagudu has called on Islamic scholars to educate Nigerians, especially Muslims, to know more about Islam in the interest of national unity and development. Usman Abdullahi Shehu reports that the governor made the call at the closing ceremony of 13th National Annual Conference of Women in Dawa in Birnin Kebbi. The report.
The 13 Women in Da'awa National Annual Conference central message is the contribution of Muslim women in shaping the contemporary Muslim communities as an effort for national unity. Governor Abubakar Atiku Bagudu urged religious scholars to devote their knowledge as guidance to Muslims, especially youth, to help confront the challenges of our contemporary society.
We want to impose more on you because even the lot you have been doing can be threatened by the challenges of failure of understanding that our society is exposed to.
Sultan of Sokoto Alhaji Muhammad Saad Abubakar called on the association to study the works of Nana Asma'u, the daughter of Sheikh Usmanu Danfodio, expressing optimism that women in Da'wah has tremendous role to play in shaping the erosion of Islamic values in our society.
This timely as our society today is facing numerous challenges in the implementation of those pristine values of Islam, which gave Muslim societies of old their strength and their resilience.
The chief host and representative of wife of the president, Dr. Zainab Atiku Bagudu, the National Amira Women in Da'awa Hajia Mariam Idris Usman, and the representative of Director General Nigerian Television Authority Hajia Fatima Bada, described the occasion as historic calling on government to strengthen support. In Birnin Kebbi, Usman Abdullahi Shehu, NTA News.
That's our contribution from this end. It's over to you, Shehu.
Thank you, Sadia. And now in sports, factional leadership of the Nigeria Football Federation takes over NFF Secretariat in Abuja, as Amanzi Marcus reports.
The about 4-year-old leadership crisis in the Nigeria Football Federation was resurrected on Monday, with the Chris Giwa faction assuming office in Wuse Zone 7, Abuja. Giwa, together with the chairman of the Senate Committee on Sports, Obinna Oba, and his board members addressed NFF staff, where he expressed a readiness to work with other stakeholders to move Nigerian football forward. The Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports Development had earlier directed the NFF to comply with the judgment of the Supreme Court, which restored the order of the Jos Federal High Court, setting aside the September 2014 election into the NFF Executive Committee in Warri, Delta State. A press statement signed by the media aide of the Sports Minister, Nneka Ikem Anebeze, said the directive to compel followed a written notification from the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, requesting the ministry to ensure compliance. In Abuja, Amanzi Marcus, NTA News.
In the meantime, the Amaju